Hello everyone, it's Sam here, and look, congratulations on getting through your A2, your assessment 2, and now let's move on to A3, assessment 3. And I thought I would just video what I'm doing, which is just thinking aloud. I've got two documents up here. The document that you have to submit, which is the PROFORMA, and that's this one over here. That's the one you submit. And don't forget that a PROFORMA is something you just fill in, a form which you fill in. So you'll be required to provide a separate title page, then leave these headings as they are and just fill in underneath what you have to fill in. Okay, and then finally there's a separate page for the references, but let's have a look at it bit by bit. So the title page, the document, the information document says title page, including your project title, your name, and your student ID. So no contents page, nothing else, just project title, your name, and your student ID. Three things on the one page. Also, please remember, here's a request, can we please ask that you do not include images or word art or borders, etc., as this makes the files very large and at times hard to download and subsequently to upload. All right, so that's just one simple page there with no refinements, just three things, not even a border. Moving on to the problem statement, okay? So, I mean, you could almost do this, couldn't you? You'd say, well, let's pretend this is your problem statement. And what would you do? You could just sort of put it here, couldn't you? There it is. Okay, but not not quite that. I'm doing this just to show you that you leave the title intact, or the what do you call these things here? The heading, and then just put in your 100 to 300 words using this information here. Okay, now this can be exactly the same as you submitted for assignments 1, maybe you mentioned it in assignments 2, provided that what you give us has the changes made from the feedback that's been given to you. Okay, so let's move this back because I don't want it there. And that's the problem statement. Okay, so 100 to 300 words, make that just one paragraph. It needn't be more than one paragraph. What is your inquiry, question, problem? Look, you've got all this already, okay? Then we move on to the rationale. And the rationale here says approximately 200 to 300 words. Why was this topic chosen? But unlike assignment 1, you'll need to write this section in third person. And what are the notes that go with it here? Okay, this can again be very similar to that written for assignment 1 or 2. However, please note that in this assessment, it needs to be written in third person and you'll therefore need to make some changes. Okay, so once again, what really happens is, you're going to end up with, well, 200 to 300 words. It'll be another paragraph, possibly 2, but I doubt it. Okay, so what you do is you put it in there. All right? Okay, so let's move on now to the methodology section. And the methodology section is 100 to 300 words. Describe how you investigated your inquiry. Has to be in the past tense. Now, in the method, you're expected to describe in detail exactly how you have found relevant and unbiased information on the topic. For example, which search engines you have used, which keywords you used to search, which phrases you used, and which Boolean structures you use to search with these keywords, how you filter the information. In other words, look, on what basis did you accept something? On what basis did you reject something? What was a particular challenge that you faced? And also what was specifically helpful. Okay, so here you need to be specific. Don't be vague or overgeneralized. You've done this, good, okay. And if you're unsure, then please have a look at the library guides. Okay, look, the thing to remember about the methodology is you have to give enough of two things, enough information and enough step-by-step procedure so that anyone reading your report would be able to follow the steps you took and arrive at the same or similar conclusions and findings to you. Okay, that's all it is. It's a bit like a recipe. You provide the person who's going to follow the recipe with the ingredients and the method. And it has to be detailed enough so the person can reproduce the meal. They can't reproduce the meal if it's not detailed enough. Okay, then we get on to the discussions and findings, conclusions and implications. Okay, discussions and findings are one section, and these we're expecting 600 to 800 words. Now this is the discussion that is produced from your answering the research questions. Technically, for example, if you've got 3 research questions, then you should end up with 3 paragraphs of discussions and findings. Okay, now bear in mind that a paragraph is 200 to 250 words long, so you might have to stretch out to maybe 4 paragraphs. Now, either indicate for each paragraph which research question is being answered by way of a heading, or in this case a subheading, or if you're not going to do that, although that's the best way, then in your very first sentence, which we call the very first sentence of the paragraph, which we call the topic sentence, the research question or some form of the research question will be embedded in your topic sentence so as to indicate to the reader what the rest of the paragraph is going to be about. All right? Okay, now, write a synthesis, a summary of all your collected data or information. You may like to use headings. I encourage that in this section to organise your data and ensure you are addressing each of your research questions. Okay, good. And any further notes about that? It is very important, a very important part of your assignment, as this is where you address and answer the questions posted in section 4. In other words, your research. Good, okay. And don't forget your research questions are a reflection of your parameters statement in the problem statement or introduction to this. All right, and then conclusions and implications, another 200 to 400 words. Okay, so it would look like this, I guess. You can do this. And here they go. So, well, that's what you would do. You have your heading, and then 200 to 400 words, which means 2 to 4 paragraphs, or maybe not, 2 to 3 paragraphs, I would say. No, I beg your pardon. 1 to 2 paragraphs only. Sorry about that. 1 to 2 paragraphs, what your overall conclusions are. Now, this is not a conclusion as you would find in an academic essay. These are conclusions. In other words, what realizations did you arrive at as a consequence of your investigation? Okay, this is not summarizing your findings as you would in an essay. This is to tell us what conclusions you have come to as a result of all this. The links to the Australian curriculum, all right. You'll need a bit of an introduction, and then in this table is where you're going to put in all the information we need. So here it is again. You'll put in a specific year, the content descriptor, and then in your own words, how specifically this relates to your project. Please change this your to my. Okay? It's my. Otherwise, I'm going to think that all you've done is copied and pasted and not paid very much attention to the detail. All right, so let's get rid of those 2 my's. And what is left? Oh yes, the references on a separate page. APA 6th edition, 10 reputable references, good, okay. Appendices, look, I'll let you read that, but if you end up with appendices, it'll be the page after the references. And Here is how you should set your report out in terms of the number of words, setting out, spacing, and so on and so forth. Okay, look, I think I'll leave it there, but don't forget what you end up submitting is your pro forma, which is the one that's here on the left. Leave the section headings intact, separate page for your title page, problem statement, etc. Just follow each other until you get to the references, which is going to be a separate page, and then if you're going to be using a appendices, yet another page. All right, I'll leave it there. Good luck, everyone.